Welcome to the Hollywood Raw Podcast. My name is Adam Glyn. Over there is Dax Holt. We are the Hollywood Raw Podcast where we cover all things in entertainment news and pop culture. We are the #1 entertainment news podcast in the cartel industry, which is kind of cool. Yeah, we're huge with the cartel.
Huge with the cartel.
Did you know they've been playing our podcast at the El Salvador prisons lately? Apparently people love us there. So that's really cool. We will gravitate to the U.S. and do well there. But for now, we're really happy that we're just good and in with the Mexican cartels and stuff like that. So that's great. Dax, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Can't complain. Nice out here. Well, what's it like in New York right now?
It's spring is springing. It's about low 50s right now. It's getting to like my busy season's about to start in another, I would say, 2.5 weeks. Because you have the Met Gala, you have the P. Diddy case. Not like I'm really going to see P. Diddy outside the courtroom, but it's going to be crazy outside the courts and stuff. But obviously the P. Diddy case, the Met Gala, you have the network upfronts. And also like people will talk to me now a little bit because it's not as bad outside. When it's 15 degrees outside and the wind's blowing at 45 miles an hour, most people don't want to talk to me because they spent $2,500 on makeup and hair. The last thing I want to do is ruin it when I ask them about their menstrual cycle. So it's it's just it is what it is. So
do you think anyone's going to show up to court to support Diddy?
Good question. I don't think anybody will come to support Diddy. But like, why?
First of all, you think Kanye would show up to support Diddy in the audience?
Wow. Can you imagine if Kanye came out to support Diddy in the courtroom? First, that's a tough ticket to get. That's a tough seat to get. If Kanye came out, if Kanye really wants to make some headlines and some news, go to court and go for one day and go support P. Diddy. See how the media, see how everyone jumps on that. Diddy would be so pissed about that.
You think he would be pissed?
I mean, he's got nothing to lose.
No, he's got nothing to lose. Clearly, they're buddies. We played that whole audio recording on, was it the last podcast? I think that Diddy has no one supporting him. So if you have a huge star showing up, even if Kanye's in the bad graces of the world right now, and just known for saying crazy shit, I think him showing up, I think Diddy would love it.
Diddy, I don't know how Diddy would feel. I think Kanye would love it because it would be a great commercial for him and his brand and those
I don't know if it's a
t-shirts.
Great commercial, but it would get him more press, but I don't think it's necessarily good.
Would he be?
Listen,
Dax, let me ask you this, and this sounds weird. Would he be able to wear his shirts in the courtroom, or is that too much?
His swastika shirts?
Yeah.
Oh no, he couldn't. I think he'd get kicked out.
I don't know.
You can't wear like invoking violence like inside a court of law. No way.
I don't even want to put that out there because I wonder if Kanye is actually even considering that as a move. I mean, maybe not yet because we got to wait till the court kind of develops and it actually becomes real. But would Kanye show up to court? But also that's a tough seat to get because that courtroom is anybody could go to that court case, correct? I mean, it is.
Yeah, I think, but you're gonna have to wait a long time. I think it's very limited seating, so that the likelihood of you actually getting in is very limited. They're gonna give media passes to certain people so that the media can be in there. I don't know. That one's not televised, correct? You cannot record inside of that one.
I don't think Diddy or anybody would want that televised.
It doesn't matter if he wants it, but I think I remember reading that wherever that one is being held in New York,
it is hard to get cameras in.
There's no cameras allowed into that one.
It's so funny.
I won't see it televised then.
I remember always trying to. There's always like, hey, go apply to see if the judge will allow cameras in the courtroom. In New York, they always say no. They never really allow cameras in the courtroom.
That's why you always see the courtroom sketches from New York because you have to see some visual of the person, and it's always like a weird, distorted look of them being drawn
Isn't
in court.
It weird that we're still doing drawings in courtrooms? We can't even take a photo. It's like, no, I'm gonna get some cartoonist, some animator to draw Johnny Cochran.
I remember when, like, way back in the day, I'd buy those, and they were pretty decently priced. And I was thinking between, all the different outlets, those people are probably making thousands of dollars every time they sketch someone in court.
What a weird profession. What an
So
interesting
weird.
profession. Like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I draw people at court. So you just sit there and doodle at court?
And it
Yeah, I
doesn't even
just
have to be that good. Like, it can be a weird, depiction of them, and people are like, okay, we got to run it because it's the only element that we have of this person, even if it doesn't really look like them.
Speaking of Kanye, Dax, I was thinking the other day, how did Kanye, like, we both, I think, would agree that Kanye is sort of done in Hollywood. Now, with that
Mhm.
said, he is an artist, and I do think there is people that out there that will support him because at the, I could separate the terrible stuff he's done and the work he's done. And when it comes to the professional work he's done as an artist, from his music to his clothing, the style, it was very impactful. It was significant.
Mhm.
But Kanye is pretty much done in Hollywood. I mean, I can't imagine a real agency or a brand going behind him supporting Kanye for what he's done because he keeps doing it over and over and over. The terrible anti-Semitic things he's done, the terrible things he said about uh, Kim and his family. I mean, it's just really terrible stuff. However, Mel Gibson, of all
Yeah.
celebrities, got a pass. Or did Mel Gibson get a
I
pass?
don't think he got a pass. So here's what I've learned throughout all my years working in Hollywood, that people can do some horrendous things, but you give it enough time and do stuff that people like, and then they will start to forget about your past. Like, if your talent starts to outshine the shitty things you've done, people forget about it. And we've watched it over and over again. I mean, Alec Baldwin, the amount of times he's been forgiven in Hollywood, calling his daughter a pig and spitting on paparazzi, but like he makes people laugh on SNL and they forgive him. There's been some pretty heavy court cases where people have been accused of some gnarly things, and then their talent outshines them when they hit the basketball court. I mean, you see it over and over again. So do I think Mel Gibson has been forgiven? No. Have I forgiven him? No. Has most of the public forgiven him? No. Maybe he's put out a movie. What was the name of the movie that he put
He
out recently?
he just did a movie with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
Like
what was the name?
Mark Wahl, and I don't think the movie did well. It was a movie called Flight Risk.
Flight Risk.
So they did a movie together. But again, I thought it was a weird move for Mark. I don't know if the movie did well. I'm surprised that Mark Wahlberg would
No,
agree to do a movie with
Hacksaw
him.
Ridge was the movie that like brought him back. And I say that because he got I want to say he got awards off of it. So once you're kind of accepted a little bit back in, and then you get awards, then people go, oh wait, have we forgiven him? Is Hollywood letting him back in? I think that's the moment where, if you are very talented, people will start to forget. And do I think he should be forgiven? Not really, because I think the things that he said were truly the way he believes and he feels and who he is at his core. I think he's a nasty man. But he can trick people into forgiving him. He said he apologized. He said he's gone to work on himself. I just feel like we've seen so many outbursts by Mel Gibson over the years, between the anti-Semitic tirade when he was arrested.
Well, actually, before that, let's start from the beginning. So back in, I guess, 2010,
Mhm.
Mel Gibson was in. He had a crazy feud battle with his ex-girlfriend Oksana. I
No,
think
that was before this. The DUI arrest was in 2006
was
when
that
he had
6 or 6? Oh yeah, that was 6. I thought that was 2006.
2006 when he was arrested in Malibu, because I remember it vividly working at TMZ. It was one of the biggest stories we had ever broken, and especially at that time when TMZ was just starting to emerge as this force in the media industry. But when he was arrested on the side of the road and had all these racist and sexist remarks, and called the arresting officer sugar tits, and basically said that he runs Malibu, he owns Malibu, and just said all these nasty anti-Semitic things. Well, that I feel like was the moment that people could chalk it up and say, oh, it was just a bad night or just alcohol infused. But I don't think so. I think that's just Mel Gibson.
I
And I
agree.
think it was unfiltered Mel Gibson, because he thought he was untouchable at the time. Because if you remember, the Malibu police they tried to cover this whole thing up.
How
And
did they wait? So how did they
they
cover?
redacted all of the information on the police report so that it wasn't out there. And then we
Wow.
were able to get our hands on the unredacted report that showed how horrific that that arrest truly was and all the shitty things that he said. So that kind of exposed for who Mel Gibson really is. So I think between the tapes of Oksana Grigeva, when he basically said he wanted to bury her in the rose garden, and allegedly, I want to say, like, knocked her tooth out. I mean, like, there's a lot of things about Mel Gibson over the years, and I just think he is genuinely not a good person.
He comes from. I should say he comes from. His father was pretty vocal critic of Jews, and he made a lot of anti-Semitic comments. You know, he was a Holocaust denier. He promoted conspiracy theories. So I guess he was brought up under those type of theories and kind of embedded with that sort of hate.
Do you
Crazy
think, though,
that
like, do you think it's almost become like, how do I say it? Like Mel got raked over the coals, obviously, with all of his comments. But Kanye, do you feel like people, because of everything going on in the Middle East right now, like some people are actually siding with him right now?
with Kanye?
Yeah.
I mean, is he just trying to please that audience? I'm sure
I
some of
don't
that
know.
audience would actually
Well, because
like it.
I feel like Macklemore has very much like he's almost, I feel like Macklemore's used it as an attention thing. Not that he like genuinely believes, but I feel like he uses it as like just to get popular.
I would say I would agree with Macklemore using it as a platform. He just did a documentary about, and let me get this wrong. I don't think Macklemore is pro-violence
Mm-mm.
or anything, but he's definitely not pro-Israel.
Yeah.
So I do think Macklemore is one of these guys who's using this to kind of leverage his career to develop a more of an audience to stay relevant.
Yeah.
But with Mel Gibson, I think I I I don't know if he's still allowed back. I think he's going towards conservative kind of roots. I know there were some rumors that he was starting an anti-woke production company, but that is not true. His publicist was kind of quickly to kind of get rid of that whole storyline. But yeah, it's unique that Mel Gibson is sort of still out there, and at one point was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood.
He was. When I look back at like my childhood, Mel Gibson was the biggest star between Braveheart, What Women Want. Like that guy was huge. And talk about a fall from grace, man. So quickly, everyone turned their back on him. But do I think he gets a pass? No. Do I give him a pass? No.
Do you judge anybody who works with him, like a Wahlberg, that they're able to put that behind them?
I guess I'll let that be up to them. I may not look favorably on it, but I mean, who am I to say that no one should ever work with him again? I can just personally not go see his movies, and that's my choice. Other people can go see his movies if that's what they really want, but I don't need to give him my money.
I wonder if a guy like that could if he could still go on Kimmel or Fallon or Colbert if he was promoting projects, if those guys or if the industry would promote their projects, or if any project they do has to be pretty much self-funded. He's got to come up with finding the money. I'm sure he knows people who will invest money. It's so funny. I didn't really realize until as in the last 2 years that there's a lot of people with money that are willing to invest money into films or projects just to be connected to Hollywood. They have just extra cash laying around where, you know what, I'll pay just to have that sort of relationship. And it's a big business. That's how people become producers and executive producers of projects. All right, Dax, before we move on, reviews are something that we crave, that we need. It's our fuel. Do you have one for me, my friend?
I got one for us. Holy moly, it's a long one. All right. This says they are the best, and the bad reviews make no sense for reals. 5 stars. As a full-time working of 3 teenagers. Sorry, maybe mom of 3 teenagers. My free time is few and far between. I only listen to a few podcasts, and Hollywood Raw is always a go-to twice a week Wish it was more. Dax and Adam are funny, genuine, knowledgeable, and nothing ever seems forced or rehearsed. I appreciate the insight they bring with their backgrounds, but beyond this, their honesty, humor, and authenticity. There's never a dull moment with these two either. Love the banter and the interaction on the Facebook group. It's a great added bonus too. Thank you both for making us laugh, keeping us entertained, and making Hollywood Raw what it is just by being you. P.S. I find the low star ratings or reviews ridiculous for A, something out of your control, like what's the news or an ad that isn't up to you, or B, your honesty. Keep being the amazing duo you are. People who want podcasters who aren't authentic need to go elsewhere. As my 16-year-old son says, actually, all of the love from South Florida. Aw, well, thanks. Whew, that was a long one.
Yeah, no, it was long, but I appreciate the love from South Florida. I totally understand, actually, because that's what the kids are saying these days. My nephews say that a lot, like actually.
Yeah, my son says yacht.
It says yacht.
Oh God, you sound old now. Yacht.
How do you spell it?
Gyat or something. It's a big butt.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Look at that.
All right.
Yacht.
Yeah. All right, cool. Dax, did you see the photos?
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's
I get
funny.
it. I'm cool. I do TikTok. Dax, did you see the photos of Pedro Pascal and Jennifer Aniston? What were your thoughts when you saw those photos?
Okay, so my first thought was Jennifer Aniston loves going to the Sunset Towers Hotel.
What is that place? Is it just a hotel? Is it a restaurant, lounge, roof deck?
It is a hotel, but it is probably Jennifer Aniston's favorite restaurant. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but she goes to Sunset Towers Hotel because they have this salad. It's like a Chinese chicken salad or something like that on the menu. And Jennifer Aniston loves it. And she's been going there for years and years and years. And I hope I'm not getting it wrong, but I know it's a salad on the menu that she is in love with. And so I've seen her there numerous times. She actually had her birthday party at the Sunset Towers Hotel. So she frequents there a lot. But I saw her and him coming out, and I thought, ooh, if she's taken him to her favorite restaurant, that is a sign that they may actually be dating. But then it kind of turned out that they were actually there with a bunch of friends. They have mutual friends, and it sounds like there's actually nothing romantic between the two of them, that they have had mutual friends for a long time. They've ran in the same group, and they've hung out numerous times before, but nothing romantic between the two of them.
Yeah, I saw the photos, and right away, first of all, I don't blame the photographer, because that happens a lot. If two celebrities are out together, having dinner with friends, being around, just going for a walk, the first thing that'll come to people's minds is, oh, they're dating. They must be dating, which has got to be tough for the celebrities. Like, no, we're just friends. Or
yeah, I was going to say, do you think that would be annoying, that every time you were out with someone who either you worked with or just in the same industry as you, but it's the opposite sex, all of a sudden, oh, they're dating.
Yeah, and it's funny because you probably have to tell your significant other, if you do have a significant other, everything you do, because you can get photographed with that person, and you don't want to be that photo to be taken out of context, because it's very easily so can be. But the one thing about Pedro Pascal is, I will say this: he's never really been out there as far as a dating person. You never see him out. He's very private. You never see him out with someone. I mean, there's rumors that he's dated some of his co-stars over the years, but there is nothing's ever been confirmed. To me, Pedro comes off a little feminine, just feminine energy. And that's not a bad thing. We all have a feminine side to ourselves. But I don't think he'd also be
What's your feminine side?
I watch Bravo, Summer House. I think that's my feminine side. I do follow a few female influencers. I think that's my feminine side. I like gardening. No, I don't. I don't like gardening. I think that's, but I just don't think Pedro would also date a celebrity. I think he's so focused on work that he wants to be considered A, a likable person, B, as a serious actor. And he's a phenomenal actor. He's a great actor. He was great on SNL. Great. That movie with Nicolas Cage, it was a movie all about Nicolas Cage. He was so good in it. But as soon as I saw the photo, I was like, oh, they're not dating. This is a photographer running with that headline they could possibly dating, which I understand.
Well, because Jen Aniston is one of those, like, those people that her entire career has been centered around who she's dating, who she's married to, who like her love life has been the number one storyline for Jen Aniston. So anytime she's potentially linked with someone, it's big news.
So Dax, if you're a celebrity, how do you date these days? How do you date privately? How do you just date a person? What would you do?
I don't know how any of them date. Honestly, it would have to be a setup in regards to, hey, I want you to meet my friend. I think you guys would be good together. Because you can't just go to a bar and
you can't even go to a restaurant. You cannot go to a restaurant.
I think the online dating thing is also a little strange for some of these celebs. Like if you're on Raya and you never know motives of other people. And I think that's why a lot of huge celebrities end up marrying like billionaires, because they get introduced and they're like, oh, this person, they're not dating me for my money. And, there's like a power structure there that, oh, the billionaire wants to have beautiful arm candy and the celebrity is like, well, what's better than marrying a billionaire? I mean, that's what Selma Hayek did. You remember Mariah Carey was dating James Packer for a long time. I mean, it's common, I think, for the billionaires to land big, successful women in Hollywood.
I just don't know how a celebrity, for example, Fergie, who doesn't go to Craig's, she's not going to Nobu, she's not going to, the Hotspots, how she even goes to a Hillstone, a Houston's, Mastros, and people aren't sneaking photos of them on their phone. So let's just say
I'm
Fergie's
sure they
out
are,
with someone.
but maybe they're just not getting sent to Daily Mail at this point.
Yeah, but there's still fan photos these days, the Dumois, the fan sites. There's someone there. I just don't know what they would do to kind of how two celebrities are going to meet and date each other. For example, like when Gracie Abrams was dating the guy from Gladiator 2. What was the guy's name? Paul Mescal, whatever his name.
Yeah.
How do they even start dating? Where do they go for? How do they meet? How do they have their first date? How does that even go down?
So it almost makes sense that you've got two celebrities because you're meeting at your agent's house. You're meeting at a Hollywood party. You're meeting in a moment when like the playing field is even and there's a lot of celebrities around. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of like, oh, this is a normal way to meet. I just think it's got to be hard either way. You want to go out and have a date, but everyone's always watching you. So I'm assuming a lot of dating that goes down is behind closed doors, where it's like, hey, come over to my house, let's make pasta, because if we go out, everyone's gonna know. So I'm sure when you got like a Gigi Hadid and Zayn Malik type situation, they can't go out, and they can't go out for a while. They had to probably hide away and make pasta at home for a little bit before like going out in public.
Well, it's funny. I just got a tip. We're recording this on a Tuesday. And this is going to come out tomorrow, the next day. I just got a tip that Nat Wolff, from the Naked Brothers band Nickelodeon, that he's going out with Billie Eilish tonight to go see a show. Now, I don't know if this tip is true. I don't know if it's real. I don't know where the tip came from. I just got a tip from one of my sources. Now, they were photographed recently, about a few days ago, together, them leaving some event or party together, Billie Eilish and Nat Wolff. Are they together? Are they friends? We don't know. But this is 2 days within a week on two sides of the country that these two are together. So you would assume that there's a little bit more than friendship going on. So why am I getting this tip? How am I getting this tip? And is this sort of pre-orchestrated a little bit?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Billie Eilish came out.
I thought she did too, and maybe she goes both ways. I don't, maybe she could be. Nothing wrong with it, both sides.
Yeah, like multiple men before, but like Lunch was all about going down on a chick, and she had even said like I was kind of like forced to come out. Yeah, okay, maybe I just don't know. Maybe she
could be playing both sides. Nothing wrong with that. Dax does it too sometimes when he's lonely. It's but it's weird that I'm getting these tips, and it's like, is this are they dating? Are they not? How it all comes about? Do they want attention? Does he want attention? Is her team calling it? I don't know how it kind of plays out, but hey, I'm gonna,
I
again, we're
also
recording
think
this.
when
I got the
you're
tip for tonight. It comes out tomorrow. We'll see if the tip holds up, unless they cancel.
listen with someone like Nat, who obviously already is famous, right, to a certain point. Imagine dating someone like Billie Eilish, though, because all you're going to be considered is Billie Eilish's boyfriend, right? Like that's what it's going to come down to, because Billie is a way bigger star. It was funny because I was reading a story earlier this week about how Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend, she's all kind of annoyed that people refer to her as Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend. I'm like, what the hell do you expect? Like, you're dating one of the most famous people on the entire planet. Her name is Vittoria Soretti, and she did like this whole spread for, I think it was Vogue France.
Yeah.
And in there, she was talking about how, like, I don't like that I just become Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend. I'm like, girl, you wouldn't be in Vogue France if you weren't Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend. Like, I get it. You're a model, the whole thing. But the reason that they had you there was so that you could talk about your relationship with Leonardo DiCaprio, because that is the selling point. That's why people are going to pick up the magazine. So get used to it, because I'm sure everyone associated with these huge stars, like Leonardo DiCaprio's parents, I'm sure are considered Leonardo DiCaprio's parents, not, whatever their names are. I think that's just what happens when there's such a famous person. You become an offset of whoever that person is.
Well, is this with this girl, Victoria, is this the worst thing she could have done, is to talk about Leo, to even mention his name or mention the relationship? Is this sort of like the death of the relationship?
I'm sure that they have boundaries. She must know.
You think he signed an NDA?
I'm sure she signed an NDA, but I think that she probably told him, hey, look, I'm going to go sit down. I'm going to do this spread for Vogue. And I know they're going to ask, what can I say? What can I give them a little bit? Because I need to give them a little something about us. And they asked, and she was basically like, oh, I can't tell you too much. She kind of hid away from it. But that's the appealing part of having her do a sit-down interview, in all honesty.
I think that he was not expecting that. I don't think she even had that conversation with him in advance. I think she did the interview, said basically, I'm not going to mention him. Stupid move, because like obviously she knows what she's doing. She's not the one for Leo. She's not going to marry Leo. Let's be real. He's not getting
Leo's
married.
not going to marry anyone.
He's not going to marry him. Take advantage of the time. Use the platform as Leo's girlfriend to kind of leverage your career. And it's
what was awkward is she said that obviously she knew who he was because she was such a big fan. She loved Titanic. She goes, who doesn't love Titanic? He was amazing in that, which, by the way, came out before she was born. Like, think about that. That's weird. That she was not even alive when Titanic debuted. That's he was a grown-ass man by that point. What was he, like 20? And she wasn't even alive?
She wasn't even around. She wasn't even her dad yet. She wasn't even her mom. She wasn't even her dad yet. That's the crazy part about it.
So weird. By the way, what's also weird is seeing my face attached to that on TMZ. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm the one who broke the news to you.
Adam's like, you're on TMZ right now. I'm like, what? And you scroll down to the Leonardo DiCaprio story, and there's me. Random. I don't remember what I said, but we're going to go with it.
Speaking of NDAs, I meet a lot of adult film stars. Not like I don't do anything with them. But I mean, I do interviews with them. I meet them. And my first question to all of them is, how many NDAs have you signed? And they're like, oh, so many. Like we sign NDAs all the time, which is just so.
Is that NDAs because they're around other people, or NDAs because of the films they're doing?
I think it's NDAs because the people they're working with, not on film. Obviously a lot of these girls do some escorting on the side. They might be invited to a few parties, and these guys have money, and they're like, hey, they have a standard NDA, and these girls sign them all the time. Like, yeah, we sign NDAs all the time, which people like get weird around NDAs. I've signed NDAs. Dax, you signed NDAs. I don't know what the line is when it comes to the NDAs, but the girls usually still tell me who they banged, even though they signed an NDA. But they're like, hey, just don't say anything. Yeah, no worries. I get it. It's kind of funny. What was I going to say to you? Nepo babies.
Why
That
does
has
this
been a big topic in Hollywood the last 6 months, I'd say. Everyone talks about, you go on Daily Mail, Nepo baby. Oh, who's this Nepo baby? Nepo Bailey, Nepo baby, Nepo Bailey, Nepo baby.
yeah.
It's nothing new. It's nothing surprising. This
But
is not
here's the
Nepo baby,
thing.
not just in
It's
Hollywood. It's in
not
just life in general.
what I don't understand is why is nepotism such a big deal in Hollywood when it happens every day around the world in every other industry? Think how many family-owned businesses there are, or someone passing the business down from mother to daughter, from father to son, whatever the case is. This happens all around. Why is it such like a negative thing in Hollywood? You see these people come up, and instantly they're given this like mark of, oh, it's just nepotism. That is why that they're where they're at. And I'm like, who the hell? Because like right now on Daily Mail, there's a whole story about Pierce Brosnan's 24-year-old son, and it's like, guess who he is? Of course, he looks just like his dad. He's into acting. Who cares? I personally am so not affected by the Nepo baby thing. I feel like it comes out of a place of jealousy from people where they're frustrated that they weren't able to land it in the industry, but this person was given so much of a head start because of their parent, their connections that their parents have had, the doors that have opened for them. Yep, good for them. Unfortunately, we weren't born into the same situation. But I would say that as well as like, fuck, I didn't get born into the, Walmart family either. And that sucks. But what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, you're right. It comes from anger, it comes from jealousy. It's fun and easy to bring hatred and anger to Hollywood. It gets people to click on stuff. Obviously, if we do a story, if me and you do a video, say the top 10 worst celebrities in Hollywood, people will click on. But we said, hey, it's just what people are kind of fueled on. With that said, there is a lot of tough nepotism for me in Hollywood. For example, I heard a story, and I believe it's factual because it came right from the source. They were working on a show, and someone said, "Hey, can my?" I don't want to say. I don't want it to come back to people because I don't want people to think it's. I'm not. I don't want to put out a blind item, so I'm going to kind of keep it a little bit vague. But someone was working on a show. It was their show, and said, "Hey, can my child be a writer on your show?" Now, their child had no writing experience before. They weren't. I don't think they were in union, but hey, they wanted to get into comedic writing. Can my child become a writer on your show? And put that person in an awkward position. But also, the other person who did the ask was someone who was a very big celebrity. And the person's like, hey, I can maybe put in a word. Would you come on my show as a guest? And they're like, I don't really know if I really want to do that. And they're like, what? Like, so I'm supposed to give your child a big position on my job when I can only have so many writers? I mean, would you pay for their salary to be on the show? Like, that's what they said to them. They're like,
That's
no. And
kind of
like, it was
messed
just like a
up.
weird conversation to say, oh, so you want me to not only put your child who doesn't have a writing background on the show that's my bread and butter that I'm actually trying to make successful,
But
and
you
you
won't
want me to
even
pay
throw
their
me a
salary?
bone. Yeah.
You won't. How are you helping me out? It became like a really awkward conversation. And yeah, just a very
That is
weird thing in
awkward.
general.
And I think the big thing that people don't realize, like everyone goes, oh, Nepo babies have it so easy. I would argue to say they probably have it a lot harder than a lot of people. Yes, the door's open. But the second half of that is now they have to prove themselves probably twice or three times harder than anyone else in Hollywood, because they are now no longer just like, oh, look at this talented person coming up. Oh, you're judging them against their parent. You're judging them against their how they got into the industry. So someone like Miley Cyrus doesn't happen every day. Yes, her dad was super famous, but think how hard she had to work to get past the Nepo baby title to where it was just now Miley Cyrus.
Yeah,
I
but you
think
think
about that a lot with some of these people.
Yeah, but some of these people, it depends how you kind of, I think, you work Hollywood and also the type of talent you have. Someone like Colin Hanks, the actor, great actor. People forget, I think Colin Hanks's father is Tom Hanks, one of the best actors of all time.
No
You
one
know,
forgets.
I think, yeah, I don't think they do, and they don't. I don't think they don't go to events together. Colin doesn't kind of hang out in the Hollywood party scene. I think people
Mhm.
forget about that. I think Chet Hanks, you're very familiar with his relationship with his dad because there's
Mhm.
spoke about, Chet gets himself in a little bit of trouble, but Colin Hanks is like, no, I want to be considered a serious actor and a real actor. So
I think the Nepo thing is tough to overcome in the acting world. Where I think nepotism works really well is in the modeling world. No one gives those children a hard time. You see Cindy Crawford's daughter out there, Kaia. She gets, basically jobs because she looks like a mere copy of her mother. So what other industry? Like all you got to do is just look beautiful, and she does that. You see that with the Hadids. You see that
Heidi
with
Klum.
Heidi Klum and her daughter Lenny. I would also say the Jenner girls, like they get a head start, and I don't feel like people give models a hard time for coming down the ranks from beautiful celebrity mothers. You know what I'm saying? People just go, "Yep, come on in," and they don't get judged like the rest of I don't know, the crop in Hollywood.
Yeah. Speaking of Hollywood, I was, I'm looking at they had this big premiere the other day that Joe
Mhm.
Biden went to on Broadway. Othello, it was a huge
Yep.
premiere. They had a bunch of celebrities there.
Denzel and Jake
It's a
Gyllenhaal.
Denzel and Jake Gyllenhaal play on Broadway. To see
Yep.
Denzel and Jake Gyllenhaal both on Broadway, it's like, man, you just want to see those people act in person. Again, huge premiere with Joe Biden showing up for it, and you see a lot of the celebrities showing up for it. You see like the Gayle Kings and a bunch of Gayle King. I don't know. Somehow Gayle King has more energy than anyone out there. She will go to every single event. She'll go East Coast, West Coast. I'm like, I don't know how she does it. The girl has a ton of energy and gets
I
up
think
at
she gets
3:30 in the
she gets
morning.
invited, I think, to a lot of them because she's got the CBS morning show, and she herself in her own right is famous, and she's connected to Oprah, and I think people want her coming into all these things because then she talks about it on the morning show.
But she's also it's not only that, it is a tough schedule for her because she has to get up at 3:30 in the morning to do a morning show. I mean, the work she puts in to be at all these events is a lot of work. But I'm seeing all these people at this event, and I'm like, who is the most powerful person in Hollywood? Like, is someone
Mhm.
like Denzel that powerful in Hollywood at the end of the day? Because he's such a well-respected actor that people will go crazy just to see him act in person.
I
Like right
think
now,
he
George
I think
Clooney's on
I think
Broadway.
he's
It's a hot ticket. People
I
want to see
think
George
he's
Clooney do it live.
I think Denzel is crazy powerful, but I think the most powerful people in Hollywood are the people behind the scenes. It's the people who run the studios, the producers, the directors. Like when I look at it, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, those people are way more powerful than the big actors. You know what I'm saying?
But
Because they're
why
the
though? Yes,
ones because
they're
they
the
have the
gatekeepers, they have the
power.
money.
Yes, they have the ability to put the actor in a movie that could become the next huge thing. I think I remember there was like a whole list that came out. I don't know, a couple years ago, where it had Bob Iger as number one, which it was right when Disney had acquired Marvel and 21st Century Fox and all these things, and like it made sense. Yes, he is now the most powerful person in Hollywood because he has this conglomeration and he employs all these massive stars and Disney and all of this. That's what made him so powerful. That makes sense to me. I think the actors go way down on the list. I think Zendaya was like 95 on that. And when Zendaya, I feel like, is a very powerful person in Hollywood because of her fame, but her fashion empire, and not so much that she has a clothing line, but that she is that person that every designer wants to have their clothes on because she's such a big star. So like she has
So
this different allure than most people, and she was still like almost at the bottom of the list.
So I think at one point, the people like Bob Iger, the head of these studios, were the most powerful people in Hollywood. But nowadays, it's like people don't really need the studio head to become a star. I mean, Bob Iger says, "Hey Dax, I want to make you the biggest star in the world." Can he
Mhm.
actually do that? I
Yeah,
guess he could buy all the placement for you and make you a star.
I think
Can he
I
make
think I think if someone well like Bob Iger wanted to, they could make a star overnight. Easy.
okay,
I think
but
they put you in one of their Disney Plus shows, they put you in a movie, and they do a massive press push around it. I would say after this whole Snow White one, probably dropped him a couple ranks because it's gotten so much shit. But I think they can make a star overnight if they really wanted to.
But with social media now, and we go away from the studios, we, the public, can make someone the biggest star in the world. We don't really necessarily need a studio where they have to kind of jump in. Someone like Logan Paul, we could all say Logan Paul is the guy, and then the studios have to accept him. It might go against their beliefs and against their market. But if we want to make someone a star, you don't really need Bob Igers anymore to make someone a star. But it's like funny at the end of the day, I think right now, the most powerful person in Hollywood, I was thinking that is like Obama. For some reason, I feel like, guys, I think that's what it comes down to.
I literally, that was the last name I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to go with like the CEO of Instagram. Literally, I thought that's what you were going to say. And then you said Obama. I was like, you threw a curveball at me.
I'd say Obama's up there because Obama could get any meeting he wants. I think if Obama says, hey, I want to meet with any single person, people want to meet with him, they'll go out of their way.
Why does that make him the most powerful person in Hollywood? That doesn't make any sense.
Because he can make Obama, if he says, hey, I want to do a scripted show about landscapers, everyone's going to be like, yeah, we'll take that meeting with you. I don't care what the idea is. I want to meet with Obama because it's going to generate press. It's going to generate buzz. It's going to bring in ads and brands. Like, it's just, the show doesn't have to be good to make money. And I think anything someone like Obama wants to do will make money.
Brad Pitt, it still doesn't make him the most powerful person in Hollywood. I think it makes him someone people want to work with. But whoever is financing that makes them more powerful than him.
But he doesn't even need the financiers at this point, Obama. I mean, he could just say, hey, listen, I'm going to do an Instagram show. It's going to be an Instagram reel, a TV show on Instagram Reels, a 5-minute show. I don't need you, Bob Iger. That's why I just think Obama, at one point, the studio heads were the most powerful people in the industry. I think the shift has changed, whereas people realize we don't depend on you as much as we once did. We don't depend on Bob Iger anymore.
Yeah. I mean, we still want entertainment.
We still want entertainment. I mean,
and you want that high budget entertainment. It's one thing to get an influencer. I mean, you know who it probably really is Mr. Beast. He's probably the most powerful person in Hollywood.
But Hollywood won't accept him, in my opinion, even though he just did a show with Amazon. Yeah. I think what he's done goes against everything that Bob Iger, the CEOs of Comcast, NBC, it goes against everything these people have kind of doubled down on for years. Like, no, don't worry about these people. We're going to make the stars. We're going to make the stars. Mr. Beast has done his own thing.
What makes him so powerful is his reach and his fan base and all of it. So I would say, like, the more I think about it, I think Mr. Beast is probably the most powerful person in Hollywood.
You know what's so funny? So I just saw a video of what Will Smith is doing. Will Smith's got a new album coming out. So rather than going to like the TV shows, the Jimmy Kimmels and stuff like that, and I don't think he could necessarily go on those shows. I mean, I think he could.
I think he could. Also, I think he doesn't want to get questioned on those shows.
I don't think he wants to get questioned about the slap. He also knows about someone like Jimmy Kimmel's relationship, Jimmy Fallon, for example. Him going to Jimmy Fallon, he knows Jimmy Fallon's relationship with Chris Rock. And obviously Will Smith had a really big incident with Chris Rock. So the way Will Smith is promoting this new album, he's, putting a lot of energy into making content with content creators. In fact, yesterday, I guess he did a content creator day where he went to his studio or wherever they shot it at, had a bunch of content creators and like, hey, everyone gets their moment with Will to make content with Will. And I think that's how they're making buzz about Will, because he can't go the old route of him doing it. Of course, content creators like, dude, I can make a video with Will Smith. Of course I'm going to go there. I'm just so upset.
It's actually really, really smart way to do it. Like, the power dynamic shift there is Will is in the driver's seat, and these content creators are going to just want to put cool shit out and make him look good and make themselves look good, versus you go on a show and the power dynamic is, I'm going to have to ask you about the slap, or I'm going to ask you about something for you to be on my show. It's a really smart way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just upset that I didn't get the call. I get invited to the worst events. Like, you understand, like I get all these content creators, people that have like a bigger following than people that I'm just a hater. Let me hate for a little bit. Let me vent. Okay.
All right.
See these content creators that they don't have a big following. Their videos don't get as many views as mine, but then they get invited to this event. I'm like, how do I get invited to the cool parties? I got invited to one event in the last like 3 months.
Do you
And
really want to go to the cool parties? Because then there's like a level of pressure where then we can't talk shit on people because you're seeing them in public.
yeah, I sort of do, Dex. I'm not gonna lie. I want a free meatball sandwich. I sort of want to get into the party. I mean, dude, I didn't even get invited to that Planet Hollywood opening, and they said the party was like packed. Like there were so many people there. Like they couldn't fit one person plus me. But yet again, I just got invited to my first event this year, and it was an event for Japanese animators in Washington, D.C. I'm like, what?
What?
Like, why would I go to this? Like, what? Do you know what I do? It's just I have to basically beg to get into events outside on the red carpets, or then I have to like hold them like the publicists like by their shirt, like guys, let me in. Like I've done so much for you, and then they like barely let me in. Like
they're like, oh, the party's wrapping up. Let Adam in now.
Dude, one day, me and Foley, this was the Super Bowl 2 years ago. There was a party going on, and me and Justin Foley, who was a former guest on the show, we showed up to the party to get in. The door guy looked at us and was just like, let him in. Like he just like sighed. He's like, let him in. And I was like, we're like, thank you. It was not like, yo, what's up, man? Come into the party. Like, these guys showed up. All right, just let him in. It was like, okay.
Do some charity work for the day. Let these guys in.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us on the Hollywood Raw podcast. Make sure you guys like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a few reviews or comments on our on Spotify or Apple iTunes, wherever you listen to the Hollywood Raw podcast. Follow our private Facebook group, Go Off the Record. It's a fun community. We talk to you, you talk to us, and we all kind of vent together. Follow me at Adam Glyn, Glyn. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye. What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more where that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.